Well, good morning. You've heard from Bill and from Will all of the great things that are happening in so many different parts of the company and the opportunity that exists for you. In the server space, we see great things as well. There is an unstoppable trend towards industry standardized computers. And with that unstoppable trend, we see Windows Server really driving to success in the future. As we do that, it's really an industry effort to bring forward that success and help business customers solve their problems. So why is Windows winning? Why are we seeing all these computers moving to Windows? Well, underneath, the real key is understanding the needs of business customers and what they need in their server space. How can we build products that really together as an ecosystem meet those needs in a way that's not matched by the competition? The center of that is really understanding the people within a business, understanding how to provide unique benefits to those people to create business advantage for our customers. Well, we're investing very heavily in this. We're thinking about all of the different workloads, all of the different ways that our business customers use our products, together creating all of these opportunities for the ecosystem. We just launched a major campaign we call People Ready, which is a critical focus on helping business customers. And when we think about the IT space and how IT makes decisions about the problems they face, there are a set of things that we are focused on together with the industry. We see solutions to problems that have been faced by the IT community as they build out business solutions that have been there for a long time. And there's tremendous opportunities for the industry as a whole to go off and solve. How can we work together to provide solutions that make people more effective? How can we help teams work more effectively together, whether that be in web conferences or making meetings more effective or in team collaboration? How can we improve the management environment to cut the cost for IT so that, as Bill said, those IT dollars can be spent and invested in solutions that drive new opportunities in the hardware business as well as new software and business application opportunities? How can we provide security for the marketplace? I heard today on the radio on NPR coming in, once again, another information theft problem that companies face. How can we help companies to prevent these sorts of problems in the future? And at the center of all of this, of course, how can we help companies build business solutions in a more effective way to allow them to create business advantage that's unique to them and differentiates them from their competitors? Well, the Windows Server product line, together with the entire ecosystem, the hardware innovation that all of you drive, the work that's done in the solution space to build solutions that are targeted to business, the ISVs that create custom and packaged solutions, all of these work together to create a virtuous cycle that are solving business problems. And as we look forward, as I said, there's a trend towards industry standardization. It's unstoppable, and Windows is leading in that space. This is the latest set of data from IDC showing the incredible growth of the server industry. It's all being driven. That growth is being driven by the industry standard space, and Windows Server is capturing the lion's share of that growth. We continue to see double-digit growth in the server space in the next few years at least. And with that comes tremendous opportunity, hardware opportunity, peripheral opportunity, opportunity to sell solutions into business. And again, Windows is at the center of that. Now, where are some of the places where Microsoft is investing? What are the places where we see as critical opportunities that we're making big investments that thus provide some of these opportunities for you to capitalize on? Well, in an hour, I can't cover them all by any means, but what I wanted to do was focus in on three very important sort of general areas that we're putting some substantive focus, and then talk a little bit about the business opportunities that exist for you. So those opportunities are really the server marketplace all up and the different kinds of workloads that are new and emerging workloads that are opportunities in the server. That's one. Storage, and the opportunity around storage and attaching storage devices, both high-end storage systems and lower-cost storage systems to servers across the entire business ecosystem. That's two. And then management and the opportunities around, in particular, virtualization and management to drive down some of these costs overall. Let's start with the server all up, the right server for the right job. Well, there's a number of different workloads that I would love to focus on, and I'm only going to focus on a couple here. But there's some very important ones that have tremendous opportunity for the hardware marketplace. The first one that we just see phenomenal opportunity in is the small business market. By and large, small businesses are underserved by technology today. That's true in the United States, that's true in Europe, and it's true all around the world, in Asia and in developing countries especially. Now, what we're seeing is if you go back 3 to 5 years, many small businesses didn't even have a PC. And those that did would typically only have one. Now we're seeing more and more small businesses have multiple PCs all connected together to the internet. But most of those companies don't have servers yet. And when they bring a server into their environment, they get a lot of benefit in terms of IT administration. Now, what we've done is we've created this product called Small Business Server. It is a unique product on the market. There is nothing like this product in the marketplace, and it's driving a whole ecosystem. It's driving a hardware ecosystem that provides an opportunity to sell new server devices into businesses that would never buy them in the past. It's driving a whole VAR marketplace and an ISV marketplace that's focused on building and installing those solutions for customers. It's been designed to make that as easy as possible. And we've seen tremendous growth and tremendous success with Small Business Server since we launched the 2003 version several years ago. Now this summer we're going to launch a new updated version of that we call 2003 R2 Small Business Server, and it brings together some new important benefits, the most important of which is integration with Windows Update to allow the server itself and all of the devices, all the PCs attached to the device, to the server, to be upgraded with new patches and to have new service packs installed. That's true for both Windows as well as for other Microsoft applications. So huge step forward in terms of the maintainability of these systems. This is a big market opportunity. There's on the order of 20 million small businesses that are underserved in this space, and it's a great chance to go out and drive new hardware business into that important marketplace. The second area that I'd like to focus on is high-performance computing. This is a huge growth area in the overall server market. Next year, we expect, IDC has estimated that on the order of 700,000 servers will be sold for high-performance computing. This is a very big segment of the market. It has been a segment that has been dominated by Linux over the years. Now, we've seen a move in the past few years away from proprietary high-end high-performance servers, special-purpose servers, to standardized servers being clustered together. But Linux has really fueled that. So over the last couple of years, we've worked with the hardware industry, we've worked with the software industry, and we've worked with the companies and the academic institutions that really are interested in buying these high-performance computing solutions. And we've built the Windows cluster server, the compute cluster server. And this is an important product. The marketplace we're predominantly targeting here is the commercial marketplace. And while this product will scale to hundreds of nodes, we think the sweet spot and certainly the most profitable part of the marketplace for high-performance computing is in the 8 to 64 node range. All of the feedback we have says that that is a tremendous growth opportunity, particularly in industries like oil and gas and pharmaceuticals and financials, segments that really require this computing power. And there's a tremendous opportunity to bring to market very profitable solutions in that space. The hard part from a hardware industry perspective is these really big marquee 500,000 node HPC installations tend to not be that profitable to deploy, but the smaller ones where there's a tremendous growth in the years ahead have substantive revenue opportunity for all involved. Now, one thing that's been interesting is as we move to introduce this product has been the reaction of the customers and the software and hardware ecosystems. First of all, customers are thrilled to have Windows in this environment because they understand Windows. They know how to manage that, and these Linux-based solutions have been difficult for them to integrate into their IT environment. Likewise, we've seen similar reactions from the software industry that build customized applications for high-performance computing. They've been faced with a very strong divergence of different hardware and software combinations that they've needed to test. Windows Compute Cluster Server provides a standardized platform for them to build applications on, and we've been able to rally virtually the entire software industry to build solutions based on Windows Compute Cluster Server. We're introducing this product later this summer. It's going to be happening very, very soon. And so it will absolutely be available as we go into the fall selling season. And we think it's a very big opportunity for the industry as a whole, certainly the hardware industry, but also the software industry as well. This is a big market opportunity, a lot of growth ahead in high-performance computing fueled by Windows. Now, one of the things that's important for high-performance computing is very high-performance networking. That's an important thing, but there's a lot of really important reasons to have high-performance networking. We're seeing this in the storage space as there's a trend towards iSCSI, and the need to have very, very scalable, very high-performance DMA access into memory where the mainline processor is offloaded is quite important. Now, the industry has been moving over the last few years towards TOE-based solutions. I'm pleased to say that we're announcing today the availability of the scalable networking pack for Windows Server 2003, which provides exactly that set of capabilities on the standardized Windows Server operating system. So it's now possible to build solutions that incorporate this scalable offloaded-based network processing. And we've seen a tremendous amount of support by the industry as a whole around the scalable networking pack. Companies from the mainline networking vendors together with all of the OEMs and hardware vendors have rallied to the potential that this provides. And Windows has really led in this market. We actually are getting a solution out at the beginning of this leading Linux and other operating systems in providing fully functional, fully tested OEM-built units that incorporate all of this great hardware technology in a proven software solution. The results are pretty dramatic as to what you can get with this scalable networking. What I'd like to do now is invite Ian Hammeroff up to show you a quick demonstration of some of the performance benefits that we get with the scalable networking pack. Morning.
Thanks, Bob. Good morning. We've created two demos to help illustrate the benefits that the scalable networking pack will provide Windows Server 2003 customers. For the first demo, I will use a network benchmarking tool to demonstrate one of the scalable networking pack's key benefits, reducing the CPU overhead related to network packet processing. For this scenario, we have 4 Intel-based Dell PowerEdge servers with Broadcom NetExtreme 2 gigabit network adapters. Although both these servers have the same hardware configuration, I've only enabled the scalable networking pack on one of them, the screen with the green background. Now, with Performance Monitor configured to show CPU utilization, I'm going to go ahead and launch the network benchmarking tool on each server, and let's see how this impacts it. As you'll immediately notice, the server with the scalable networking pack, by offloading connections to the network adapter, is able to handle the same traffic load at more than half the CPU utilization than the other server. So, Bob, let's see how this looks when we put this on a Windows Server workload. For this second demo, we now have 2 AMD-based HP servers running the Windows Media Services workload. Once more, both these servers have the same hardware configuration with the scalable networking pack only enabled on the screen with the green background. Now, before I came on stage, I launched a traffic simulator to simulate 750 concurrent Windows Media Player sessions to each of these servers, streaming a 1.5 meg video file.
So it's a very demanding video streaming server.
In fact, it's high definition quality video. And we already have 750 clients on there. Now, with Performance Monitor configured to show both CPU utilization and the number of streaming client connections, I'm going to go ahead and double the number of connections to each of these servers. So what we're seeing here is that the server without the scalable networking pack, the one with the red background, has peaked at 100% CPU utilization before all the network connections could be established. Now, to raise the stakes even further, I'm going to go ahead and launch another 250 client connections to each of these servers.
So that one's already been at 100%.
Right, and once more, the server with the scalable networking pack, the one with the green background, is able to support more connections at a lower impact to the CPU, thanks again to the ability to offload that network processing to the network adapter. So let's take a look to see how this impacts the client experience. I'm going to go over here, and we're going to launch a new network connection to, a new Windows Media connection to each of these servers. So as you see, the server with the scalable networking pack is able to immediately provide a high bitrate, smooth video experience, while the server without the scalable networking pack will have trouble even connecting to the media server. So to summarize, I've shown you two demos which help demonstrate the cost-effective scalability, performance, and network throughput gains that the scalable networking pack can deliver. Depending on the server workload, this can translate into a 20% up to 100% reduction in the CPU overhead related to network packet processing, with up to a 40% increase in throughput. So to learn more about how the scalable networking pack can help you do more with less, and to download the bits, visit Microsoft.com/SNP.
Great.
Thanks, Bob.
As I said earlier, the scalable networking pack is available now, and we expect, given the incredible innovation that the hardware industry has provided with these offload-based chips, that this will become a standardized features on servers over the next 18 months or so. And over time, it'll be very important on clients as well. It's an important innovation across the board that the hardware industry is delivering. Now, I want to talk a little bit about Windows Server and some of the amazing benefits that are coming in Longhorn. I could spend over 2 hours on talking about the new features in Longhorn, but I wanted to give you some of the highlights of the things that we're delivering with Longhorn Server. It's the next major release of Windows Server. We just, as Bill announced earlier today, we just went to Beta 2 at the same time as Windows Vista. We made some major investments in the kernel and updating the infrastructure to take advantage of all the new hardware capabilities that are important, particularly things like serial ATA that have become so common on servers. We've put in functionality to provide hardening at the security level with the firewall, making it easy to configure the firewall, which I'll show in a minute or two. The underlying server is componentized, so you can build an image which has just the capabilities that an enterprise requires, thus reducing the surface area of that server considerably. Great features like dynamic partitioning. Bill, in a sense, showed that today with the virtualization demo that was done earlier. And we have great new capabilities such as the scalable networking pack, as well as the new generation TCP/IP stack that provides much better throughput for high bandwidth situations. And the operations infrastructure side, there's a ton of new technology here. A new version of Terminal Server that provides application remoting and a proxy gateway for internet access to terminal services. Network access protection is a built-in feature. Windows virtualization, we talked about that earlier in Bill's keynote, about the capabilities of the new next generation Windows virtualization and Windows hypervisor. Application platform, huge improvements in IIS, allowing that becomes componentized as well, allowing ISPs to configure their environment exactly the way they want it. It's a very, very high performance implementation of IIS. New capabilities like Windows Workflow Foundation and Windows Communication Foundation to enable new generation business applications and web service applications to easily be produced. Lots and lots of great new capabilities in Windows Server Longhorn, and this is just scratching the surface. Beta 2 is available now, something that you can take home with you and begin to look at. We feel really good about the stability of the product and the kinds of problems that it's going to solve for customers as it goes to market late next year. What I'd like to do now is invite Dan Harmon up to give you a demonstration of one of the really interesting new capabilities that simplify the management of Windows Server out of the box. It's called Server Manager. Dan.
Thanks, Bob.
Morning.
Morning. I'm very excited to be here today and show Server Manager, a collection of new tools we're shipping in Longhorn Server that will help IT administrators very seamlessly install, configure, and manage their servers. One of the first things you'll see after installing Longhorn Server is a page we call Initial Configuration Tasks. This tool is designed to walk administrators through a step-by-step process for completing setup and getting newly installed servers initially configured. With Initial Configuration Tasks, I can do things like set the administrator password, configure the network settings, join a domain, and enable Windows Update. Then, once I have the server initially configured, I can customize the server to provide the specific set of functionality I need in my environment using the Customize This Server section. Here we have a link to Add Roles, which launches the Add Roles wizard. If you're familiar with some of the tools we shipped in previous releases of Windows Server, you'll know we had several different ways you could install and manage components on the system.
It was a very confusing thing. You had to go to different, sometimes you had to go to the control panel to do things. Sometimes you could do things through manage and configure your server. It was a mess.
Exactly. We had the Configure Server wizard or the Manage Your Server tool. Or if you didn't like those, you could go into Control Panel and launch Add Remove Programs to install system components directly. In Longhorn Server, these are all being replaced by a single wizard experience for installing and configuring roles. Using the Add Roles wizard, you can select the set of roles that you want on the server. So for example, I can select both DNS and DHCP, and in a single pass through the wizard, install and configure those roles. Another way that we're improving the deployment experience is by handling dependencies between roles in a more seamless, integrated fashion. For example, if I select Windows SharePoint Services, I'm immediately informed that SharePoint requires other roles, such as the web server role. When I select Add Required Role Services, all these dependencies will be installed along with Windows SharePoint Services. As you can see in the navigation pane, pages are dynamically added to the wizard that allow me to customize the role according to my specific environment. This helps administrators to correctly configure their servers in a way that is prescriptive and according to Microsoft best practices. Not only that, but no longer do you have to run the security configuration wizard separately. The Add Roles wizard installs roles so they're secure by default out of the box.
That's a pretty big deal. In Windows Server 2003, we had the security configuration wizard, but it was really complicated to set up and make sure that the roles were always secure and the servers were secure by default. Now, with the configuration capabilities in Longhorn, it'll just be by default that all of the roles are always configured with just the ports open that are required to satisfy the purposes that that role has.
Exactly. Finally, I can confirm my selections and install the roles. Now that you've seen how to install and configure roles in Longhorn Server, I want to show you another tool we're building to streamline ongoing management tasks. Server Manager is a new MMC console that is a one-stop shop for local management of Longhorn Server computers. From the Server Manager homepage, I can get an overview of how the server is configured, what roles are installed, and what their status is. In this case, I can see that something's wrong with the print server role. I can click Print Server in the list of roles and jump directly to the Print Server homepage to drill into the problem. Here I see that one of the services for the role is not running, and as a result, the role is not functional. But instead of launching some separate tool or going to the command line, I can actually click on the service and start it back up right from the homepage. And the role is functional again.
So it's a one-stop shop for doing very common tasks. There's still the management console, and in fact, we're making that a lot easier for administrators to use. But this provides a place for administrators to go to a centralized place to see the status of what's going on their computer and do basic configuration that they do on a frequent basis.
Exactly, exactly. This is Server Manager. I hope you're just as excited as I am about this new technology. It's available now as part of Longhorn Server Beta 2. So you'll be able to try it out with your new Beta 2 DVD from WinHEC.
Great.
Thanks Bob.
I said that Windows Server is winning in the marketplace, and it's winning because we're listening to customers, and making it easy to configure things like Server Manager is a great example of that. Another area that's really important is running commands. And Windows Server has never been particularly strong in this area. This is an area where Unix and Linux have really always led Windows Server. It's a generalized scripting command languages. Well, what we've done over the last couple of years is we've focused on providing a whole new wave of innovation in the command shell environment. And we've introduced recently Windows PowerShell, which is a command environment that takes and brings together the best of the scripting environments that have existed in the Unix space for so many years, together with object capabilities and integration into the graphics environment. With that, what I'd like to do is introduce Jeffrey Snover up to do a demonstration of PowerShell. Jeff, good morning.
Howdy, Bob. Windows PowerShell is our next generation command line shell that's interactive, scriptable, and allows you to build admin GUIs layered on top of command line interfaces. I'll start off by showing you an admin GUI layered on top of PowerShell. This is a prototype of a Windows WMI Explorer. I click here to see all the WMI namespaces. I can click into the SimV2 namespace to see all the classes. Come down here, pick the PNP entities to see all the instances, select an instance, and see the properties.
So what this says is that PowerShell, just natively out of the box, will know how to access WMI-based information that you've all instrumented inside the hardware devices you're creating.
Exactly. And that was layered on top of a command line. Now let me show you the command line equivalent. Here, I'm showing all the drives on the system. Notice we have some new drives. This is the management drive. The management drive is WMI. I can CD into the management drive, and when I do a dir, I'm again seeing the WMI namespaces. I can CD into SimV2, and now when I do a dir, I see all those classes, right? But I don't want all those classes. I just want the PNP classes. So how do you do that in a file system? Wildcards. And you get it. You have wildcards. So now I'm looking at just the PNP devices. I can CD into those, and now I can see the instances of those ACPI devices. Now, once we've found those PNP devices, we can leverage PowerShell commands to do amazing things with it. Here, we'll get all the devices and show them as a table. PowerShell commands are different than traditional commands in that they emit objects, not text. And the benefit of emitting objects is that you can do all sorts of powerful things without having to resort to text-based parsing. For instance, imagine I wanted to take these entities and group them by status. It's as simple as this. Now we see them all grouped by status. Or I can export them to CSV. Now CSV is great because then you can use all sorts of great tools like Access or Excel to see and manipulate that data.
So that's really the power of the fact that PowerShell is built on the .NET infrastructure, the .NET framework, and so it natively is based on objects. It's why we were able to go and in our next generation of management consoles build all of the business logic, the administrative logic associated with configuration into PowerShell commands and just provide a GUI environment on top of that.
Exactly. PowerShell also accelerates the adoption of new technologies. The DMTF has recently standardized a common diagnostic model, CDM. Now let's jump over to a HP machine which has been instrumented with CMD diagnostics. Here I'm going to show a set of custom PowerShell commandlets that were written with HP to exploit those CDM diagnostics. First, we'll get all the CDM devices. These are all the devices that have diagnostics on this machine. I'll then drill into the video controller, get the details on it, and notice it has a set of diagnostics associated with it. I can then invoke one of those diagnostics. This will run in the background and we can check on the results later. These diagnostics were written by ATI and delivered with their component. This allows the entire ecosystem, from manufacturing to field support to admins to management products such as MOM, to be able to invoke these diagnostics in a common way. PowerShell makes your investment in CDM a good deal by delivering a great end-user experience.
So while we have some capabilities to manage hardware through WMI out of the box, there's a tremendous opportunity for you as you build your devices to provide PowerShell commandlets that are instrumented and designed specifically to expose those capabilities to administrators in easy-to-use scripting form.
Exactly. Now, with PowerShell, it's not an either-or world. You don't have to choose between the CLI and the GUI. Look, it's just a statement of fact that in the past, we've been weak on command line support. PowerShell fixes that, and now you can do amazing things. This gets all the processes, you can sort them by handles, notice no text parsing, and then get a list of those showing the names and the handles. This is powerful stuff that you can do directly from the console. But the fact of the matter is, information like this is best seen visually. So let's do the same thing, but this time, let's output it to a chart. There you have it. Windows PowerShell, the best of both the command line and the GUI's worlds. PowerShell is our next generation command line shell that's interactive and scriptable and delivers your instrumentation to users in an easy way. You should write custom PowerShell commandlets to differentiate your product and layer your admin GUIs on top of command lines. Thank you.
Thanks, Jeff. So that next generation command technology is shipping late this year. We were building several new products such as Exchange 2007 with PowerShell deeply integrated into it. And as Exchange ships in the fourth quarter of this year, roughly that time frame, PowerShell will be available on both 2003 and when Longhorn is available on Longhorn. So it's something that you can take advantage of in the very near term. Let me now talk a little bit about storage. I think there's a tremendous opportunity for the industry around storage. We've seen tremendous adoption and growth of storage over the last few years. And one of the things that's interesting is watching how Windows Server has taken off and more storage is attached to Windows Server. As you can see from the chart, these are all IDC, this is IDC data. Dramatically more information is stored and attached to Windows servers, either through SANs or directly attached, than any of the other operating systems on the planet. And as we look forward over the next few years, we know there's going to be continued growth to network-attached storage. And while Fibre Channel has a very substantive lead in that because it's been in the market for quite a few years, the growth of iSCSI, which is predicted at over 200% annually, it will catch up and over time eventually surpass Fibre Channel attached storage. So this is a super good opportunity for the industry as a whole, and Microsoft's been making some substantive investments in this space. We have had an initiator as a part of Windows Server 2003 since it shipped, and Windows Server has worked very well in the iSCSI space, enabling disks to be attached across the network through iSCSI. There's two things that have happened over the last few months that are really important, though. One is we've worked cooperatively with the industry on a diskless boot approach to enable Windows servers, particularly interesting for things like blades, but really interesting for any kind of server that's attached in a data center environment that doesn't have a native hard disk, a direct attached hard disk, to boot remotely off of an iSCSI partition. And then we just recently announced an acquisition that enables us to provide, as a part of our storage server, an iSCSI target to enable a NAS device to actually also function as a SAN as well in the iSCSI world. So that convergence, those two things are really additive to the iSCSI ecosystem, and we think there's a tremendous opportunity for the hardware industry to take advantage of those things. There's a lot of profit to be made in storage still, and there's a lot of opportunity to build solutions around Windows in that space. Now let me finish the talk and close on a discussion of management and some of the innovations that are happening in the management space. In some ways, the PowerShell demo was very much a management-focused thing because it really enables administrators to provide remote scripted services against their many machines that they have. But we're making many different kinds of investments in management. And today what I really want to focus on is the importance of virtualization and the impact that virtualization will have on the server marketplace. Now, as we sort of look forward over the next couple of years, we expect to see continued explosive growth in the use of virtualization on servers. Now, long term, we expect virtualization to be standard on all servers shipped, and in fact, eventually to become the default mode. That is that all workloads will run in a virtualized environment. Now, I don't expect that to happen for at least 3 to 4 years, but I do expect that over the next few years, more and more customers will begin to utilize virtualization for a very large percentage of the work that they do. Again, we see tremendous growth in virtualization. IDC estimates show it growing to over 1 million servers by 2009 that will be virtualized. And an interesting phenomena here is that as these servers move towards virtualization, the overall cost per unit tends to go up. Virtualization provides an opportunity for higher utilization on servers, and thus customers tend to buy more fully featured and fully equipped servers that are virtualized. So the revenue opportunity for the hardware industry is substantive as data centers and IT begin to build more and more of their solutions in a virtualized environment. Now, we've made many investments in virtualization. Bill showed some of those this morning, and I'll show a few more of them in the next few minutes. But one of the most important things we've done here is really focused on creating a business model and a licensing model that works around virtualization. We introduced all that last fall, but the thing to realize about Windows Server is it is ready today to run in a virtualized world. And when we think about virtualization, we are thinking about this in a very ubiquitous way across everything we do in servers. And we've now come to realize that in some senses there are really three levels of virtualization that Microsoft has investments in and the industry as a whole has an opportunity to invest in. The one that tends to be familiar to people is really hardware virtualization, where you take a single piece of hardware and you virtualize that environment to enable multiple copies of the operating system to run, be they Windows, Linux, or other operating systems on top of that hardware. So that's hardware virtualization, and that's really what Bill showed earlier today. There are two other layers of virtualization, however, that are interesting. The second layer of virtualization is OS services, OS system services virtualization. And this enables you to run multiple instances of operating system services within a single operating system, thus providing very, very high scalability and some level of isolation. In some senses, as you think about these three different levels of virtualization, you can think about hardware virtualization as providing the greatest isolation but the least granularity, i.e. the granularity is an entire operating system. OS services virtualization is sort of in the middle. It provides better granularity and better isolation. It provides better granularity but less isolation than hardware virtualization. And it's particularly interesting for scenarios like hosters that want to run up thousands and thousands of different customers on a single server. You can't do that with hardware virtualization. You can't get that kind of, the overhead is too high. But with OS services virtualization, you can. We're making some long-term investments in this space. It'll be a few years before you see these things to come to market, but we are investing in this space, and we do think it's very important. The third area of virtualization is application virtualization, which provides the best granularity, the smallest granularity, but the least isolation of these three types of virtualization. And what's interesting about application virtualization is that it provides a very simplified environment for installing applications and enabling applications to run side by side in an environment that might not otherwise run in a compatible way. So it dramatically reduces the cost to IT and is quite applicable to both the desktop and server environments. So three types of virtualization, three different investment streams, all very important over the next few years as IT uses virtualization to reduce their costs. Now, Windows Server virtualization, Bill really talked about this today with the advent of Windows Server virtualization and the new hypervisor and the demonstration that he showed. That hypervisor is obviously running today. We're making incredible progress in terms of the development of that. We expect it to be in beta by the end of this calendar year and available within 180 days, within 6 months or so after Windows Server Longhorn ships. This is super important technology. I was very excited to see that demonstration. I'm really an engineer at heart, and so I really enjoy demonstrations like that. I have to say I've been around Microsoft for a long time, and I think the last demo that I enjoyed as much as that was back in '92 when I saw the first version of Windows NT demo multiple Bezier curves in a multi-threading environment. Seeing those multiple processors all virtualized and the ability to add hardware on a dynamic basis really provides some unique capabilities to the Windows Server operating system that we think will be very important to customers in the years to come. Now, in order to make that work, as Bill said, we really need to do more than that. We need to provide an environment that enables management and making these solutions very manageable. And we want to provide a management solution that spans from today's virtual server environment to the world of the Windows Server virtualization in the future. And so what I'm pleased to do today is announce the newest member of the System Center family, our management suite, called System Center Virtual Machine Manager, that provides enterprise management across a wide variety of machines that support virtualized images. Virtual Machine Manager will provide the ability to manage the images that are stored offline, migrate workloads from one machine to another, and manage the overall set of templates that are used to create those images. With that, what I'd like to do is invite Eric Winter up to do a demonstration of Virtual Machine Manager. Eric, good morning.
Good morning. This is System Center Virtual Machine Manager, a centralized console for managing Microsoft Virtual Server and Windows Server virtualization. Today I'm going to show you how to use Virtual Machine Manager to rapidly provision virtual machines and optimize your server utilization. Many customers adopt virtualization to increase utilization as they move to modern hardware. As an IT admin, the first thing I need to know is which servers to consolidate. Virtual Machine Manager integrates with Microsoft Operations Manager to provide reports like this one, which clearly show my least utilized servers and thus the best candidates for consolidation. Now that we've identified the servers to consolidate, let me show you how Virtual Machine Manager converts a physical server to a virtual machine.
One of the real things that is interesting about Virtual Machine Manager is that it's part of the System Center product line overall. We really believe that virtualization is a core capability of the IT environment. It's deeply integrated into the operating system, and the management of virtualization needs to be integrated together with the other management tools that IT uses. So for operations management, Virtual Machine Manager works with Operations Manager to provide those set of services. For software distribution and configuration, it works with SMS or System Center Configuration Manager to provide those updates out into the environment.
That's right. So driving from that MOM data, I enter the source computer information and then identify the virtual machine, which is defaulted to the source computer for a P2V conversion. The hardware settings of the virtual machine are also set based on the source computer. But as Jeff showed earlier, with Windows Server virtualization, I can change them now or later, even while the VM is running. Now that we've configured our virtual machine, let's assign it to a host and start it. This brings us to capacity planning, one of the main features of Virtual Machine Manager. A key to maximizing your utilization is the placement of VMs on the proper hosts across your network. But calculating the optimal placement is a complicated business. Virtual Machine Manager solves this by integrating a set of capacity planning models developed by Microsoft Research. Intelligent placement allows System Center Virtual Machine Manager to place VMs on the proper hosts and increase your utilization. The star ranking shows how well each host matches this particular VM's requirements.
So this takes into account the characteristics of the source application of the place where the application is coming from, together with the characteristics of the virtualized environment. What else is running, how much memory is available, et cetera, in that virtualized environment.
That's right. And the setting can be scoped to a specific pool of servers or across the enterprise. In addition, the settings for generating the rankings can be easily tuned and customized. So now that Virtual Machine Manager has done the hard work for me, I simply choose the top-rated host, and that's it. Now, before we finish this task, I want to point out the View PowerScript button. Everything you'll see today can be easily scripted with our new PowerShell command line interface. Since this UI is layered on top of PowerShell objects, every action logs the commandlet in our audit trail to assist the admin in learning the PowerShell interface.
As I mentioned, we're moving to a model of management where the configuration logic associated with managing applications in the Windows Server environment is stored inside PowerShell scripts, and the GUI is just layered on top of that. Exchange 2007 will be the first product to ship with that. The next generation of Operations Manager will also use that technique, as will Virtual Machine Manager.
That's right. So we've seen how easily Virtual Machine Manager converts a physical server to a virtual machine to optimize your utilization. As you create hundreds and then thousands of virtual machines, you must keep track of them. Let me show you how Virtual Machine Manager organizes your virtual environment. I've chosen to arrange my servers into resource pools by business unit, but I can easily view them by state, owner, and operating system. In addition to these running VMs, I also have to track the offline virtual machines, virtual disks, templates, and other VM building blocks. The template in particular is an important object. that allows the administrator to encapsulate a complete set of hardware and software settings into an easy-to-use package.
Yeah, the ability to manage these offline images and to create standardized images through templates is a key attribute of Virtual Machine Manager, allowing companies to set up an infrastructure of all of the different sorts of workloads and roles that they have in their company, and then dynamically assign those to running servers in a virtualized environment.
That's right. And I could easily create a new VM using a template in that same wizard you saw earlier. But instead of showing you that again, I'd like to show you something even more exciting. Virtualization enables the data center to be more agile. But why stop there? Today, it can take weeks to fulfill a request for a new server. Virtual Machine Manager enables workload administrators and developers to create their own VMs in a manageable way. I'd like to introduce Virtual Machine Manager Self-Service Portal, where I can see, manage, and interact with my VMs. Now I'd like to show you how easily I can create a VM here. First, I enter my VM identity, and then select a template from among the set published by my administrator. And that's it. I don't even need to select a host. Virtual Machine Manager uses intelligent placement to select the most suitable host from among the resource pools for this person.
In many companies, business owners really are the ones that are required to go out and make decisions around buying servers. And once a server the decision is made to acquire a server, it takes several weeks for IT to get it up and running and get an environment in place. What this provides really is the ability for that business owner to work with IT, really in a mode where they're on their own to go out and grab a virtualized session on an existing server and get them up and running to solve their business problem much more quickly.
That's right. And as you can see, we've taken a task that can take weeks and reduced it to 3 easy steps. Now, in order to keep self-service manageable, the Virtual Machine Manager administrator controls who has access to specific templates, resource pools, and actions. In addition, the administrator can set quota and expiration policies to further ensure that host resources are shared and optimized. At any point, the workload administrator or developer can see which of his resources are in use and which remain. So we've shown today how Virtual Machine Manager can optimize your server utilization, rapidly provision virtual machines, and centrally manage both Microsoft Virtual Server and Windows Server virtualization through our Administrator Console, Windows PowerShell, and our self-service portal. Thank you.
Thanks, Eric.
Thanks.
So Eric showed a lot of great capabilities with Virtual Machine Manager, but there's more that if we had time we could have shown. One of the things that Virtual Machine Manager will do is enable migration of workloads from one virtualized server to another. And with Windows Server virtualization, that'll able to be done in a live way so that that workload can be transferred to another server in just a few seconds, really not losing a beat in terms of serving and continuing its capabilities on the network. So it's a very full function environment. The combination of Windows Server virtualization, which is really a leading edge hypervisor-based solution. I'll point out that Windows Server virtualization in the hypervisor is the first hypervisor that's ever been designed but from the beginning to take advantage of the virtualization capabilities that are being provided by both Intel and AMD in the chip and really depend on those capabilities to do its tasks. That, together with Virtual Machine Manager, which enables great management solutions on top of this environment, really means that the Windows environment has a great future in virtualization. As we say, as I said earlier, we really see virtualization being core to everything we do in the years ahead. One of the things I want to also announce today is that I said that there's a lot of interesting things happening at different levels of virtualization. We talked about what's being done in hardware virtualization, but I want to talk a bit about application virtualization. In this space, a number of different companies have been making investments in making it easy to manage Windows applications and install Windows applications. There's no question, though, that the leader in this space is a company called Softricity that has worked with companies really of all sizes, some very large companies as well as some smaller companies, to solve the problems that they have of managing and deploying applications on Windows desktops. Softricity has really cut costs and built a product that customers really find does an amazing job in their environment. And today we're announcing that Microsoft plans to acquire Softricity and bring that into our family of products. We'll be incorporating this technology into our other products over time, and we really look forward to working with the Softricity folks and solving these sets of very, very important customer problems. Application virtualization is a key problem. Microsoft thinks about virtualization across a wide variety of ways, including thinking about hardware virtualization and system service virtualization. And with this Softricity acquisition, we have a great base to build forward on with application virtualization. So as we look forward, Windows Server is doing really well today. Windows Server 2003 is a great, stable product in the marketplace. R2 provided a great sort of midlife kicker to the product and really took it forward and allowed customers to solve a set of problems they couldn't solve before. Longhorn is clearly the future. There's no question that as we look forward to our investments, the next generation of Windows Server, Longhorn is the basis for that. We're really thrilled to be getting to Beta 2 today, and we will be shipping Longhorn in the second half of calendar 2007. Now, that's a long time between now and then. We have an update, a Beta 3, that'll come in the first half of 2007, and we'll be doing CTP releases between now and then to continue to refresh the customers that are working with the product. We have a number of different servers in production right now inside MSIT, and we're working with customers as a part of our Technology Access Program. We expect many customers to begin deploying Beta 2 of Longhorn inside their production environment. We're taking the time to make sure we get this one right. There's no reason to rush this to the market in the sense that 2003 is providing great sets of services for our customers. And with the stability and reliability and the dependability that customers have come to rely on with Server 2003, we want to make sure that Longhorn Server is a clear step forward, both solving new problems while providing the reliability and availability that customers expect. So we've got a lot of bake time in this schedule to make sure that the product is really ready for very broad production deployment at the time that it ships. As I mentioned, we'll be shipping the virtualization capability within about 6 months of Longhorn Server. So that capability will be part of the core operating system. So that is something else customers can look forward to. A lot of great stuff today. Bill talked about a lot of great things. Will talked about a lot of great things. In the server space, we look forward to tremendous opportunity working together with you to drive the industry forward. The real momentum that comes in the industry comes from the innovations that are driven by the companies that the people in this room represent. We see tremendous opportunity in workload spaces like small business and compute cluster. Great opportunity to take advantage of new networking capabilities and putting Windows servers and industry standard computers in places where they couldn't possibly scale before. Opportunities to simplify the administrative environment with things like PowerShell command scripts. In the storage space, there's a tremendous opportunity around network storage, particularly with iSCSI. Over the next few years, 10 gigabit Ethernet will drive the cost down of very, very high performance network-based storage and have that attached to Windows servers. Great opportunity in that space. And virtualization really is the future of the server environment, and there's a huge opportunity to build solutions around that. You guys make it all work. We really appreciate all of your support and the partnership that we have together. It's the combination of the hardware industry together with the innovation that all of the software vendors provide that really enable customers to solve these business problems in an industry standard way that they could never solve before. Thank you very much. Have a good lunch and a great show. Thanks.